little out of breath 'cause I've been walking. I'm Danny DeTige. This is Beauty Manifested. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I've been feeling a little frustrated with men. And I want to talk about something I realized. Well, first of all, last night in my yoga class, I realized that no one owes you anything. Like, no one has to be kind to you. No one has to be loving towards you. Like, that's it. And then also on my walk just now, I was thinking, like, oh, so no one owes you that. And then also, you owe it to yourself to go where you're celebrated, go where you're loved, go where you're appreciated. Like, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to convince someone that you're like a kind, loving person. You shouldn't have to convince someone that you're trying to care for them. Like, if they can't receive that love, they just can't receive it. That's their business. Life goes on. And so I want to talk a little bit about this theme and pattern that I've had. It's vulnerable. It's a little embarrassing, but I'm going to share it because I'm confident I'm not the only one going through this, and, you know, maybe someone will resonate and then get out of a damaging situation. So I felt like, and this is good, now that I'm more career focused, this is good. I'm someone who's willing to endure hardship for a benefit. And so it's funny because my ex, I don't even consider him my ex now, but I used to have this quote unquote boyfriend, right? And then he had an ex too, and her and I are like cool now. I wouldn't call us friends, but like we're definitely cool. Maybe we're friends, like we're cool. And I like her a lot. I really appreciate her. And I do feel like there's a certain bond between people who date the same man. Because I have another friend who we dated the same man. And like, I don't know, there's just something about it. And my best friend in high school, she had became close friends with someone who had dated the same guy as her. And like, there's just something about it. It's like a secret sisterhood. Anyways, me and her are super cool. And I was kind of like asking her about, you know, like what attracted you to him in the first place? And then like, why did you allow things to move forward? And then she asked me the same question. And so there was that, but then she asked me, like, why did you stay? Like, when things start getting, like, really chaotic, like, why did you stay? First of all, the reason that I allowed things to move forward is because he had presented himself as someone who was, like, very intelligent and very wise and already experienced in things that I was interested in, things I wanted to get into. At the time, that was business. I was working as, like, a commissioned fitness instructor, and then I had a nutritional coaching business and a meal prepping business. It was one business, the nutrition coaching and the meal prepping. And I was getting a little burnt out from it. I was finding it difficult to scale, and I was just kind of like in a season where I wanted something more stable. And I had also stopped going to school, so I felt like I needed to like launch my like adult life or something. And I was young, so I was like, I need to find myself. Like, I don't know what was going on, but I was really seeking stability at that point in my life. And so he came in and he claimed to be like an experienced entrepreneur, and he had already made money and all this stuff. And he said that he could like help mentor me. And I was thinking like, okay, cool. So then we start talking, but then I kind of got like a weird vibe from him for whatever reason. And so I didn't let things move forward, but he like kept following up, which goes to show he is a good salesman. So he kept following up. And then eventually, like, we spent some time together just going to like art events and things like that, which I really like. Relationship was pretty cool and casual. But then maybe like a month or so into the relationship, at this point, it's still just like it's really more of a friendship. He comes to me with a business proposal for me to open my own insurance agency. I could acquire an already existing book of business. It could be seller financed. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity. I told my family about it. They thought it was a wonderful opportunity. It seemed that everyone was supporting me. Everyone was excited for me. I started moving forward. Somewhere in the midst of that, him helping me with that, we start spending like a lot of time together. And then that's when our relationship progressed into like a more romantic relationship. I know you're not supposed to mix business with pleasure now. At that time, I guess I didn't really know that as clearly. And it's also vulnerable sharing this story online because I'm sure he has a different perception of how things played out. But this is my story. He can do his story on his channel. Right. So anyways, that's why I let it happen, because I felt that there was something, it seemed like a beneficial relationship. Call me shallow if you want. I don't care. Like, that's usually how it worked. And even when I dated losers, I'm not saying he's a loser, but even when I did, I valued something in them and I felt there was something to gain from the relationship. Even if in retrospect it was like, but I've learned now, like, even when I've taken on teachers and stuff, there is a point where the student becomes the master and you have to go get a new teacher because you've surpassed that teacher. And so when I met him, he did know more than me. He was more knowledgeable. He was more experienced. He did have more connections. And so that drew me in, and that's why I allowed the relationship to progress. And then things took a left. Things got toxic. It got really weird. And why did I stay past the point of expiration date? I'm sure there's many reasons, but the main reason is because he had helped me start the business. I felt that I couldn't do it without him. And also, it was a business that I truly hated. I hated it from the jump. I tried to get out within the first like 3 months, and he basically told me that I was being ungrateful for an opportunity that had just fallen into my lap, and I was going to just throw it in his face, and he had worked so hard to help me and like all this stuff. And so I was like, all right, you're right. Like, I shouldn't just quit this easy. I've learned now, like, if something doesn't feel right, get out. You don't have to stick it out in something. Like, there's no prize in doing that. Like, if something's just like hard, like, that's fine. Like, things are hard all the time. But if something literally drains you, it's depressing you, it's horrible, like, you hate it, just quit. Like, it's no shame in quitting. Same thing with relationships. If it feels kind of weird and confusing and something's just not sitting right and it feels hard. Now, work and things like that can be hard. Picking up a new skill can be hard. A relationship should never feel hard. It shouldn't feel hard. There should be a certain flow. Does that mean you don't have difficult conversations? No. Does that mean you never get triggered? No. But it shouldn't be like hard. Like you're constantly trying to explain yourself to this person and they just don't get it. Or anything like that. Anyways, so for whatever reason, because I was in this business that I hate, I didn't get out in the first 3 months. So now I'm in the business. I'm highly invested in the business. I've invested a lot of time. I've invested a lot of resources. I'm in it. At this point, I'm thinking, like, I have to do this for like at least 10 or 20 years, grow it really big, and then sell it for a few million. That's what I was thinking. Or like never sell it. I don't know what I was thinking. But I was like, I have to do this. And I was like, I can only do this with him. And so I refused to break up with him. Like, and I tried to like just mitigate the problem. I tried so many different Band-Aid solutions to fix the relationship. And like, he was just driving me absolutely insane. Like, I just could not coexist with him. It was just too much toxicity. Like, his toxicity was just pouring into my life so much, even though I was trying to be withdrawn. Like, and then it was just crazy. But I would not leave because to me, leaving him meant my business failing. Like, those two things were connected. And so I stuck it out. And honestly, like, at the time, like, it seemed like a good decision. Like, I was like, it's worth the sacrifice. Like, if being with this person ensures a successful business, then I'm willing to do that. Like, that's fine. And so then after that relationship, I met a guy and I got a little attached to him. It hasn't been that bad. Definitely not as crazy as that relationship. This one is just like a little different. But we've been on this on again, off again thing forever. And he's the first person who I dated after breaking up with this ex, which is telling. Like, don't just go hop into a new relationship right after. But anyways, like with him, same kind of pattern. It's like, okay, I'm willing to endure this if I think that it will get me this. And so, like, specifically recently, like, I'm getting into tech and this guy's already doing well in tech and he has a lot of connections in tech. And he's not really treating me well. It's not that he's necessarily treating me poorly, but he's definitely not treating me well. Like, it's not a relationship I really want to be in. Like, there's no real tangible benefit right now, but I felt like I kept kind of sticking it out and letting him linger in my vicinity because I was like, well, you might need a connection from him later, or he may be able to help you study, or he may be able to do this. And I'm like, I literally have friends, my female friends, who are in the same industry, way more helpful, way more generous, honestly, probably making more money. They don't have the same connections as him, so it is a little different. He's in like a specific situation. But like, I don't know why I delude myself to think that I need these people. And so I've noticed that that's a pattern in myself. Like, not only am I making my source something other than God, I don't really need anything external other than God. God will just replace it with something better. You know, like, I don't need this person. I don't know why I am even thinking that, like, oh, I need this person for a connection. I need this person. No, you don't. You don't need this person, especially if they're not treating you well. And then two, it's like, why are you willing to endure hardship and pain in order to get some future imaginary prize that you don't even know? First of all, you don't need it. So, hence the first point. Second of all, you don't know that you're going to get it. Like, you're enduring this person trying to stress you out, this person being rude to you, this person not being helpful with you, because you think you might need their help in the future, but they're not even helping you now. So what sense does that make? I don't know if I'm just like airing out my business for the sake of like sounding crazy and everyone's just thinking like, how did you not know that? You're such a silly girl. You think you need a man? What a pick me. Whatever. Maybe people are thinking that. However, I'm a woman. I'm very extroverted. I talk to like at least probably a dozen women every day. Half the time they start talking about relationships because that's just what women do. I feel like it's hardwired in us. And I know for a fact that I'm not the only one who has these issues. I just know that for a fact. If you don't have this specific issue, you have a different issue with men. It just is what it is. And I hope that this will help somebody. I don't even know. I'm like, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not dating right now. I'm just focused on myself because I am frustrated with men. And maybe that means, you know, all of these self-help books would point to that meaning I'm frustrated with myself. And I am. Like, I've been neglecting the relationship with myself. I've been going into relationships with like a savior complex, wanting him to save me from something. I've been not fully believing in my capabilities of being able to provide a lifestyle for myself without a man, for being able to be a high earner without a man, for being able to successfully run business independent of a man, for successfully being able to own a home, run a household independent of a man. And I'm not saying I never want a man. I do, maybe, but I want to feel confident that I can do it. Or else I'll always be in a position where it's like, I have to have a man. And it's just not the vibe. It's just not the vibe. Like, I feel like that's been a lot of my adult life. It's like, it's been pretty much all of my adult life. It's like, either I'm in a relationship and like, it's all right. Either I'm in a relationship and I'm neglecting my own responsibilities because I feel like he can just take care of me. Literally, yeah. No, that's actually the vibe. I'm like, I just make all my responsibilities his responsibilities, and then I tell him that he's abusing me if he doesn't do that. But like if my business has a bad month, like obviously it's his fault, because if he cared about me, he wouldn't share my success. I know that's toxic. I know. But that is basically like how I've used men. Like, I'm like, okay, like, I'm so glad that you have a crush on me. You think I'm cute. You want to be in a relationship with me. Here's all my problems. Now they're your problems, which isn't, yeah, it's not that good. And then when I'm single, the whole time I'm just like looking for a new man. And so it's always centered around men. And so I have been watching content about like decentering men because I think that's definitely what I need. Like, it's just a hot mess. Like, it's just a hot mess. Like, what would life be like without men? And so this is the season I'm in. I'm not saying I want to live my whole life without men. I'm not saying I hate men. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying I'm currently in a phase and a season where I want to experience what would life be without men. How would I dress? What career would I pursue? What things would I be concerned with if I wasn't just always thinking like, oh, well, that's not really my job. Like, a man can just handle that. Like, okay, like, what if there were no men? Like, what kind of things would you have to do? Like, how could you be an independent spirit? And it's so funny because I feel like most people would view me as a very independent person. And I am a very independent person. Like, I'm very strong-willed and things like that. But I'm also a lazy person. I've been trying not to call myself that. But I like to delegate. I like to outsource. Like, and so if I can get a man to do it, like, I definitely want to get a man to do it. And definitely if a man's going to be in, like, there, to me, there's certain things that just a man should just do. Like, why would I do that? I'm a princess. Like, no. But now I'm trying to shift that. Like, okay, like, be less of a princess. Like, if you really had to do it, you could do it. And I want to have that confidence knowing, like, all right, eventually, even if a man does show up and he starts doing this, I want to know for a fact that I could do it. And it's like that in business too. Like, when you have employees, when you have these people, it's great to outsource and delegate, but you need to have a pretty good understanding and capability around other people's tasks to effectively lead them. Because one, you know if they're cutting corners because you know how the job is supposed to be done. Two, you can train them properly, even though you can hire a trainer, but somebody has to train the trainer, but they could be experienced. But either way, like, you want to have a pretty good understanding of how each role plays. And you want to have confidence that, like, if everyone quit on me tomorrow, like, I could run this ship. Maybe you don't have to be confident about that in business. Business is a little different. That probably wasn't a good one-for-one comparison. But in my partnership, I want to know, like, okay, if this man dies, and my ex used to tell me this, he would be like, you have to know how to do these things, because I didn't want to do anything in the relationship. I wanted him to do everything. He'd be like, you have to know how to do all these things, because what if I die? Then the business will fail because you don't know what to do. You don't know what's going on. You don't know anything. He's like, you need to know this, even if you never do it, just in case. And my dad would be like that too, like, trying to, like, I'd be like, can you change the tire for me? And he'd be like, okay, sit and watch me change the tire. I'm like, why do I have to learn how to change the tire when I have you to change the tire? Like, that's not my job. Like, you just do it and I'll be sitting inside. And he's like, no, you need to know. And so he would teach me all these things and I'd be like, irritated, because I was like, this is not my job. Like, if my dad's not here, then I'll just call the AAA people. But he felt it was important to teach me. And so now I guess I'm finally seeing the light. I'm like, okay, I do want to be a full, complete, competent human being without the presence of men. Not because I hate men, even though I am frustrated with them right now. Not because I hate men, but just because it's important to me. And I think that it's going to do something for my self-worth to know that I absolutely can stand alone and I don't necessarily need a man for anything. Even though I do know that, because I can call AAA, I can, like, call all the other things. But, like, yeah, this was a rant. But I love you guys. Be blessed. If you made it this far in the video, I love you a million bajillion times. Have a beautiful day.